Hello, gringos y gringas, beaners and beanerettes. Welcome back to another, I guess, edition of El Racist Latino. I had no idea what I was gonna do with this channel. Uh, I did a couple of like debate stuff, but yeah, it didn't feel right. So yeah, what I thought is I'm just gonna read the news, which I anyway do every day. So I thought we would just read the news together, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see where this goes. So, what are we looking for? Right now, at the moment, well, I guess the biggest news over the weekend was the peace deal that Trump and Netanyahu offer Hamas, and then Hamas's half acceptance of the deal, and then Trump supporting Hamas, like pushing that Hamas wants peace. Um, all of that very controversial. He could have easily have said, no, 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 you didn't accept, bombs away, but he didn't. So it's on Israel's court at the moment. That's what's going on there. You know what? Let's just fucking do a. I have an idea. Let's just do a update. What's going up? What's going on in the world? So I'm a very visual person, so we're gonna do it. Let me check if you can see it. I have my Google Maps always open. Okay, yeah, you can see it first. Okay, so let's start with Africa since I'm already here. It's a good place as any. So I was here previously because I was checking this news about the 200,000 Christian or whatever amount of Christians that have been killed in Nigeria. I was checking a bit on that news, but Africa in general, well, you know, there's this destabilization in Libya all over the place. It's a mess. Sudan the same. Somalia is being bombed like never before by the US so far this year. And obviously, I guess, I don't know, this is not really a war, but I really cannot ignore the slavery situation that the Republic of Congo is going through because of the cobalt mining. Otherwise, South Africa, all of these talks about the whites being, how do you call it, exterminated or genocided or stuff, that kind of cooled down. Haven't heard anything. If you have some news, then you can put on the comments. But no news is good news. So I guess, and I hope that that kind of stabilized or got balance. And yeah, my knowledge of Africa goes as deep as that. I'm sure there's many things going on. Each country has its own stuff, but this is how deep my knowledge of it goes. I mean, Nigeria just created their first ever airline company. I just read an article about it. So the Niger Airlines. It's so hard to say that name's country with a straight face. So Mali and Mauritania are basically disabled warlords' land, and yeah, I cannot say much about these countries here. I think they're actually not bad, and yeah, I don't know. That's as far as I go. So if we go, let's start with America. Obviously, well, Canada as usual, basically slowly implementing communism, and they're at it. There's not much news about that besides some trans person getting in the bathroom or some racism or kind of woke stuff. That's basically what's going on in Canada, last I heard. Um, in the U.S., well, of course, I guess the government was shutting down, shut down. The government was shutting down uh, for no particular reason. Nobody really cared much about that, and of course, the big news, I guess, the biggest news in the last week or two is Oracle's and Ellie Ellison, something Ellison, purchasing TikTok, and yeah, it has caused a huge amount of controversy regarding the free speech. situation, and you can see all over this clip of Netanyahu speaking to these influencers um, openly about how he's planning to control the media in the US. So that's the biggest thing. Of course, you have, like I said, this government shutdown, and of course, the ICE immigration uh, situation going on. The Some people are in favor, some people against. They're too abusive. It's okay, but it's too abusive, and it's a very big green area, gray area. So yeah, the border is fairly close as far as I heard. It's basically like nothing going on. However, there's drugs coming on from the north. Apparently, there's more drugs coming from Canada than it is from Mexico at the moment. So securing the northern border here, the northwest border in Washington State, it's apparently an issue. What else we got? Then we go here. If we go smaller, El Salvador, Bukele is kicking ass as usual. He just, from what I heard, he just created another prison besides the prison to harvest the gangs and stuff. And whatever your opinion, that's another subject. Are they being trained humanly? Are they even human because of what they did? All of that stuff. This is happening, basically. Those are the facts. I'm not putting emotions on it at the moment. I'm just updating. So they build this amazing huge prison. I'm trying not to be subjective. Let's build this. They build this huge prison where they harbor uh, people that are supposed to be gang members, not only from El Salvador, but they also imported from the U.S. for a fee, and they are hosting all of these Tren de Aragua and MS-13 alleged gang members, right? And now they built another prison to harvest or to host the politicians, the corrupt politicians. So yeah, again, controversy. Some people are saying you're prosecuting your political enemy, and he said, yeah, but they were stealing money, you know. And yeah, my opinion is, yeah, if you have proof that they were corrupt and they were selling out their country, that's treason, in my opinion. I'm not saying killing them or anything, but definitely jail. It's nice to see politicians serve jail time, you know, because it seems like in every case, left, right, in every country, they just run around with impunity. Whichever dictator manage, like is compared to Hitler or something, like the worst person ever, they manage to get overthrown and they just escape to Russia with billions, and then they live the rest of their life is in luxury. Like, okay, if this person was so terrible as you said, that's not a fair ending. Same on the other side. Like, let's put I don't know, something that's not that controversial anymore, maybe Tony Fauci. um, the damage that is proven already that this guy did during COVID, and the lying. And is he ever gonna see some jail time? I doubt it. But yeah. So El Salvador putting political people corrupt in prison. Love to see it, and that's my opinion. Of course, we have this situation in Venezuela, right, where Trump has bombed, I think so far 3 boats that were, according to him, carrying drugs. This is one of the main complaints from the other side. Is like, dude, you didn't even have proof. Show us the drugs at least. No, just bombing indiscriminately and without like, if you, these are international waters, which already makes it kind of illegal. But if you want to follow you're American, you're following the American court of law. It's like innocent to proven guilty. This is one side is saying. The other side is, fuck those people, they're bringing fentanyl into the country, so they deserve to die. So whatever your opinion is, these are the two sides. My argument is actually a bit different, because yeah, you can actually understand the fact that there's no proof that there's drugs there and all that, but my argument is with the point where Trump says these drugs are headed for our country. And if you see the map, like, this is Venezuela, and this is like the closest US border or US land is here. So for those kind of boats, if you have seen the clip, those are small boats. Like, let's see if we can find some of them here. Let's see, Venezuela boat bomb. let's see, a clip. Dude, these are tiny boats. This is like kaboom, everybody dead, of course. Oh, the drugs burned there also with the explosion. So, I mean, if, you know what, let's make this fun. How many nautical miles are between Venezuela mainland and the closest US land through the Caribbean? Let's see, this is fun. This is fun. Okay, yeah, you can see everything. So, by the way, follow me on X if you like my shit. El Reyes is Latino. So, yeah. To determine the shortest distance nautical miles between Venezuela, blah, 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 we need to identify the closest point. Yeah, I know it's not a straight line. Yeah. Okay, the calculation, I don't understand any of this. So, around 503. Because US islands, mainland and Florida, calculated. So, okay, 510 altitude miles. And how long would it take a small boat with one simple engine to navigate that distance? My problem is it's all this, man. Like, you cannot. It's far. It's fucking far, dude. Are you crazy? Okay, this is even Puerto Rico. It's not even Florida. So okay, fine. Let's compromise. A small boat with a simple with 20 knots. I don't know nothing of this shit. 25 hours. That doesn't seem realistic. 25 hours non-stop to get to Puerto Rico, which is here, right? So, man, that doesn't seem right, but let's assume that's right. So it's a 25-hour non-stop drive from here to Puerto Rico, and then you have to. So, if how are you telling me that this is heading for the U.S. in this small boat through all of this? Even if you go to Miami, you have to go through Haiti, Jamaican waters, and all that shit. All of this is controlled. This makes no sense to me. If somebody can explain it. Also, the other valid argument is that no, these drugs don't go straight. Of course, there's steps. They are going to some kind of port where they are like packed, hidden in some container, and then it hides and just ships hidden in containers, kind of drug traffic in that way, or flight over or something. Well, yeah, that has a little bit more weight, but then in that case, you cannot guarantee me that the drugs on that specific boat are going to the States, because on these containers leaving from the Caribbean or wherever, they are not only going to the US. A big chunk is going to Europe, a big chunk is going to Australia, and Southeast Asia, Thailand and stuff like this. And a big chunk is also going to South America. You need to provide all these countries with their precious drugs, obviously. Actually, Africa, I think, is probably the least, but I'm sure they're getting a chunk of it. So this is coke, unless they produce their own coke. Who knows? But let's say this is mainly coke that is going all over the world. So then you bombing this boat, if it's going by container, you cannot guarantee me that those drugs were. Again, it's like a court case thing. But yeah, that's what's going on in Venezuela. Possible war there. Apparently, they're talking about invading if Maduro doesn't bend. Maduro is kind of bending, kind of kissing ass, but also standing his ground a little bit. Like, yeah, I'm scared shitless, but I'm also not a bitch. I'm not gonna let you just control me like that after all of this revolution that's been going on, which is communism for since 1999. So yeah, I don't know much about the rest of the countries. Things seem pretty good in Chile, Argentina, Peru. Ecuador is having some political issues, I guess. Colombia is they're all having their small issues inside, but nothing big, nothing that plays. Argentina, of course, with Milei is the more prominent situation right now. Love him or hate him, a little bit of both, I guess. Me too. But yeah, so Europe. Let's go to Europe quickly. So I guess, well, we'll start with the UK, which obviously is going through these huge censorship issues. Thousands of people, over 1,000 people being arrested over Twitter posts or Facebook posts or even private messages in group messaging in WhatsApp. It's crazy, crazy, dystopian. And obviously, the last news that Keir Starmer said that they're gonna give a free, thank God it's free, mandatory ID, digital ID. Um, UK is mega pissed. Nobody's complying to this. I guess we'll connect it to that. We'll get to Southeast Asia at some point, but I just also read an article that Vietnam canceled the accounts of 86 million citizens because they don't want to agree to the digital ID. So I think Vietnam is a country of 90, maybe 100 million people. So you're talking about the vast majority of people just are now without bank account. Uh, Double-edged sword because of course they're gonna go now heavy on cash, which is the opposite what these people pushing for central central banking, digital central banking, and the digital IDs are. So that might that's not a good plan in my opinion. Just debanking 86% of the country or however, it's a terrible idea, but whatever. So we got rid of Vietnam, I guess. Now, so yeah, this is there's supposed to be elections, I think soon. I don't really know when it comes to the elections, but this is the most thing that I heard is, of course, the immigration situation is huge there as well. Uh, they're talking a lot about votes. Finally, like every party, even the Labour Party, is also coming into the fact that the immigrants are a problem. So finally, they're talking about that. But yeah, all in all, dystopian mess, like a reality show over there, what's going on in the UK. Um, Otherwise, obviously, the Ukraine and Russia war, which is ridiculous, is the most useless war that's going on right now, in my opinion. It was supposed to be settled in Istanbul until, again, from the UK, Boris Johnson came and just broke the deal. But the previous deal was that Ukraine cannot join NATO. We keep Crimea and something else like this. That's it. Right now, 2 3 years later, they are Russia. I guess is gonna ask from Kharkiv, Donetsk, and Zaporozhye. Basically, they're trying to connect. They're trying to connect a way directly to Crimea. So now Ukraine has lost because they didn't sign that pact. Now they have lost maybe 20% of their land. And of course, so far, Russia is slowly advancing. Ukraine is just out of people. The army is empty, and yeah, they're taking just whichever guy in the supermarket is just has a beating heart and two arms. They're just taking them, and yeah, the front line is not looking good for the Ukraine, sadly. Well, sadly, it's not like I support Ukraine or Russia. I just want peace, and this doesn't help. And it also doesn't help that Ukraine is just using the little resources they have just to bomb random gas stations or fucking whatever, which I completely disagree with, mostly because, first of all, how long are you delaying? How long are you, uh, I don't know, interrupting Russia's operations when you do that? Maybe it's a small problem for 24, 48, I don't know. Is it a huge problem? This, like, exploding this, was this like a super vital thing and now Russia is in the dark for the next 5 days? Like, is give me a reason why you are doing this. And you kill some people who probably are not military, they just work at this, whatever base. Um, but then what happens then? Then fucking Putin, when this happens, then they bomb Ukraine, and they don't bomb gas stations, they bomb civilians. Even so far as Lviv, I heard, were bombs going on. So you call a victory on bombing some stupid gas station that, yeah, whatever. Putin can just deviate from others, or refuel, rebuild in a week. Like, I don't think it's a big deal, and then you're paying for that with civilian lives. Uh, in Yeah, I don't agree. I just don't agree. So let's see. Trump and the U.S. are talking about sending Tomahawk missiles to the Ukraine. I think that's not really realistic, because then they will have to send the people that know how to fire them, and some equipment is not like, old school fucking like the match, and no. These are fucking technical shit that requires special, like, mega specialists or whatever the fuck. Um, Otherwise, well, the president of France just quit after less than a month in power. What else? Germany. Well, the flotilla situation with Spain and Italy, and even Turkey supporting these 40 or something, 50 boats trying to get their way into Gaza right here. Yeah, some European countries have been involved in this, including Greece, Turkey, Italy, and Spain. But then they bailed before the flotilla got interrupted. They bailed. And well, since we are here, I guess we can talk a little bit about the Middle East, which I think it's the most famous geopolitical topic at the moment, the war in Gaza, and of course the 20 deal plan that now Hamas have accepted, with conditions. And I think this was a very smart move. I was impressed, actually, about the diplomacy, how diplomatic it was, basically. So uh, they have, oh man, I'm gonna people are gonna get pissed at this, I guess. Thank God I don't have any followers so far. But they have always been kind of caveman or savage, or like non office, like, kind of wild when it comes to their diplomatic things. They's always like, no, yes, motherfucker, all this stuff. And they now presented this amazing letter, like, perfectly written, where they basically say, yes, we agree, however, not like this, but like that. And of course, I think Trump was also impressed, because he came out and said, amazing, we like this. Peace is going on. Israel, please stop bombing Gaza. So far from what I heard, Israel hasn't stopped bombing Gaza, and they're calling it defense. They said they're gonna move from offense to defense, but they're still bombing Gaza. So they haven't really stopped, and I think Trump said it twice already. Stop bombing Gaza, and they're still doing it. Of course, this was after the big news where Trump says that he's not gonna let Netanyahu annex the West Bank as well. And well, besides, this is what is going on here. We will see what happens. I mean, so far, this 2020 plan, 20 bullet points plan, or whatever peace plan. How do you call how they call it? They call it the the peace board or something with Tony Blair and all that stuff. um, yeah, this was how do you call it? Supported by basically every country around. So from Egypt, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq. I guess Kuwait, definitely Qatar, definitely Saudi Arabia, definitely the Emirates, Oman. I don't know if Yemen was there. I doubt it. Um, they don't want Iran's opinion, of course, obviously. But anyway, so Jordan, of course. So all of these people supported the deal. Netanyahu changed it at the last minute, and then they kind of have been complaining a bit. The the Emirate or whatever from Qatar, uh, he was like, no, that's not what we talked about. And some of them just said, yeah, whatever. I think Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, maybe Iraq, I don't know, or Saudi. Some of them said like, yeah, sure. Who gives a shit? Yes. But a couple of them were not that happy. Egypt apparently is building some troops because they see signs that Israel is planning to kick all of the Gaza refugees, out here from Rafah, out in the Sinai Desert. So they are apparently preparing themselves militarily. Egyptian-Israeli war coming soon, as usual. Hopefully not, but it looks like there might be a situation there that they also might use to just kill more Palestinians who are they're just in the shit end of this as usual. Um, oh, Iran, obviously soon war with Iran, but you know what? It's very interesting because I have been reading about more the opposite about Iran attacking. It's normally Israel that attacks. In the last one, they call it a preemptive attack, but like they were sitting in the table negotiating, dude. What the fuck? So, so yeah. But now I've been hearing a lot of Iran making this preemptive attack. So I guess it's a 50-50 coin toss. I would have called it easily 90-10, or maybe even more than 90, that Israel is the one that breaks the ceasefire, whatever that means. There was not really an official ceasefire, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's now 50-50. Who knows? We might see it when we scroll around checking on the news later. And we spoke about Russia a little bit, I guess. Yeah, we're just updating. Well, India, of course, I think is very famous. This is something also that involves Russia. India is now mega pissed at Trump because of the sanctions and stuff, and he's now just cozied up to China, Russia, and that group even more, to the axis of evil or whatever. The leftists or the communists or whatever. It's very bad news for the West in general, because well, now not only do they have breaks, it's already in process for a couple of years, but whatever tensions they were between India and China, which obviously they have a border, so every country that shares a border with any other country, there's always like happy times and annoying times. You can ask Georgia and Azerbaijan, and Armenia also. You can ask all of these Stan countries all over Europe, all over Africa, all over South America. Like where you have borders, you have troubles. So of course, uh, there's the last war they fought, I think, was in the 60s, and it was actually funny because they fought the war in the Himalayas, and it was so high that there was not enough oxygen for them to shoot guns. The powder wouldn't explode because it needs a bit of it needs oxygen for this chemistry reaction to happen of the explosion of the bullet or whatever. So they were fighting with sticks and shit. It's pretty funny story. So anyway, that was the last war they had, and yeah, now they're fucking friends, man. Now they're hanging out with Kim Jong Un over here. What the fuck is here? Kim Jong Un and Putin in China, and they're doing fucking game nights and sleepovers, and just sending each other funny memes and shit in private. Probably they have a WhatsApp group, hanging out, man. And China just declared that they're out of this kind of need status. I don't know the terminology for it, but in the UN, it's kind of a country that is suffering. They're putting this status so people can help them. They just declare we don't need this shit anymore. We're out. So of course, with all of the benefits that they lose, and now they become a superior level country, like a developed country, I guess. Officially, China just became a developed country. I think that's what it means. We all know that the official story and like the story on paper is this country developed or not. It's often very different to what we see on the ground. Like the United States himself, they're supposed to be developed, but man, it's a mess over there. It's fucking like it's not. They're not doing well on the ground. So, you know. Anyway, it's perfect timing, I guess now, so they can launch bricks or like move bricks in a direction within a position of strength. So, by the way, all of this, what I hear about all of these rumors of China invading Taiwan or Taiwan in being in problems, I don't think that's something to worry about. I think, in my personal opinion, I think China is more than happy to sit down, eat popcorn, and watch this mess going on that America is imposing on the whole world, on South America, in Venezuela, in Europe, so keep supporting Ukraine without a plan, basically. Like, you can support them if they need it, if they deserve it or whatever, but for how long? What's the plan? Just to kick them out all over and get all of the land before even Crimea? Okay. Yeah, I don't see that realistic, at least not in the next 20 years. So is this war gonna last 20 years? Whatever. So now, I think China is just more than happy watching that mess, and of course getting their name dragged to the mud along with Israel because of the uh, situation going on in Gaza. So yeah, they're more than happy to develop, build, and a crazy amount of power source all over. They're building the biggest dams. They just released the biggest bridge in the world that would connect whatever. Instead of 2 hours, it's 2 minutes. Kind of situation between, I don't know. I didn't do the proper of course, it was just an article, and I saw the bridge and stuff. It's beautiful, but they're just building fucking atomic plants and dams, huge, the biggest dams in the world in history. I heard that you can even see from satellite. Of course, we need this, but I don't even know where it is, so whatever. So yeah, they're moving forward, and they're just more than happy to see us and watch us destroy each other. Um, in Southeast Asia, I guess Vietnam. I mean, you have this Nepal situation. Government was taken down and how do you call it? Elected by Discord. That was pretty funny. I don't know what happened there. And Australia is basically like following the footsteps of Canada and the US, just basic woke censorship, communism. I know people there, and I have tried to send them a couple of times some videos, some podcast interviews and stuff from some people, and they are not allowed to see it. It's yeah, this video is banned in Australia. It's crazy. So yeah, over there is something similar happening, I guess, in New Zealand as well. Uh, so yeah, that's the world. That's cool. We did that in 30 minutes, badass. So I guess that's the latest. I probably missed something. Obviously, there's so much going on, but I think that should get us started. Good. So let's go back to. Let's see what the news are bringing. So what I do normally is I follow all these people, right? Oh, you don't see it on the left side. Let me see. No, you don't see it. So I follow a bunch of political accounts from all sides. I'm very open about. Uh, I'm very open to everybody's opinion, so I can be objective. So, like, obviously Hasanabi, extremely lefty, communist mentality dude. So that's what they support. And you have right next, ironically, Candace, not mega, yeah, I guess mega conservative, religious Christian, and yeah, all of that stuff. Let's see what just happened. BB call out. Tucker Thompson, Netanyahu. Oh no.
I think now is exactly the wrong time to appropriate the memory of someone and the emotion that comes with that, the really intense emotion that all of us feel in his murder, and use it for your own parochial ends. Like, he stood for this, you know? And I think the reason that Charlie was able to bridge the gap, particularly in foreign policy, is because he had, for example, genuine affection for Israel, which he expressed to me in private many, many times. Like, I love Israel. I don't think we should have another forever war, regime change war against Iran. I don't think it's helpful for people to jump in, particularly foreign heads of state, to say, this is what, you know, he lived for my cause or whatever. That's disgusting, actually. Don't do that.
Recently, Vice President J.D. Vance hosted the Charlie Kirk show. Obviously, this is following the murder of Charlie Kirk. And he brought on a number of guests, including Tucker Carlson. Now, Carlson took a dig at the Israeli government, rightly so, if you ask me. People like Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for attempting to exploit Charlie Kirk's murder for their own political means, for their own political messaging. As Carlson alluded to, Kirk was a longtime advocate of Israel. There's no question about that. But over the past few years, he did make a number of statements that were also critical of the Israeli government. So we're gonna get to those momentarily. Now, let's just talk about Benjamin Netanyahu's response.
Yeah, of course, I guess in my kind of a nutshell of news in the world, I didn't speak about Charlie Kirk's assassination. I guess it's not news anymore. Like, it's been 3 weeks, I think, and his assassination itself is not news. But of course, the way he was killed, who killed him, all of that is still news. I think they just released Tyler Robinson or something. I don't know. Oh yeah, this debate is supposed to be good. But yeah, 3.5 hours. We don't have time for that now. Maybe I'll watch it later. Oh yeah, the Jimmy Kimmel situation. It's just ridiculous. Oh yeah, and this dude. Talking to this dude. Peter rejects sacrifice. Man, you cannot make this shit up. It's like I promise you, I'm not the Antichrist, right? Myron, let's see what he's talking about. Russia, NATO escalate, Trump strikes narcos, Gaza peace plan or scam. Mike Pence. They told you it was gone. Oh yeah, I hope that it was gone. What, the Epstein list, maybe? By the way, we also didn't speak about that. I guess people have been cooling down on that, sadly. Of course, release. Tucker didn't see this coming. Okay, yeah, this I know. These guys are also fun, cool, leftists though. Of course, Dave Smith, legend. Funny way to hear the news, by the way. And yeah, now again about Kirk. The US relationship is ending here. What comes next? Well, about his previous video was something about how TPUSA did it. Or this guy's crazy. Oh, he changed it, of course. Of course. Was it a live podcast? It was 3.5 hours. You see, is TPUSA involved? 317. Oof. Also a long one. I don't know. I hope they found out who did it. We can comment. I mean, I think the claims that Israel did it are not based on something. I find it funny. I do find it funny that uh, when you send a letter to Netanyahu, kind of in a strong tone, he was being friendly, but also he was like, "Dude, this is not a joke. Like, we need help." Yeah. Then less than 6 months later, you end dead. You end up dead. I'm not connecting the dots, but that's pretty. That's pretty shitty. Um, but yeah, obviously it's horrible what happened to him. I mean, I'm not saying it because I think it's just logical. It's just horrible what happened to him, and nobody should have a like no violence. I will never condone or support violence. I hate every war that's happening. I just support peace as soon as possible. Whatever it takes. Let's try not to give the other side or the enemy or the mean person or whatever everything they want, but also priorities. People should stop dying ASAP. That's just my opinion. So in this case, connecting it to Charlie, it's the same. Like, I disagree with him in a couple of things. Some things not. Some things yes. Uh, I would say that I would agree. I agree with him like 30%. Um, on the conservative things, I guess. But still, man, he's human, and he was doing something. I think it was good that he went around in the campus waking people up, like, hey, things are not the way they tell. It's just the first step. I don't mind that somebody that I disagreed with 70% is going on doing to people what I wish would happen. Just waking them up, like, hey, no, the media is lying to you. You know, and then once they wake up, even if Charlie Kirk woke them up, you know, they will go deep and realize or decide if they can still support him. You know, so I mean, the people that woke me up, not I don't necessarily support that much anymore. It's been, people change. Trump's phone call leaked. Let's see
About the vision.
This guy, by the way, Mahmoud, is obviously a supporter of. Oh shit! It's cut here. Okay. Well, whatever. I'll fix it later. This guy Mahmoud is obviously Muslim. I don't know where he's located, but obviously an Arab Muslim, and obviously supporting Iran. Iran uh, supporting Gaza, Palestine. I don't know if he supports Iran. I guess so. He's just against the Israel, basically. What's going on there? So we have to take what he says with that pinch of salt. So he's basically propaganda from the point of view of the other side. So if we want to get to the middle, we have to accept that everybody is telling their own story for their own objectives. Even if you believe what Israel doing is wrong, or even if you believe no, it's Hamas' fault, it doesn't matter what they say for a purpose. And so if we have news sources that are supporting Israel, then we can also go deep into them and find some connections. Why are they supporting Israel? Or is this a common thing that you're supporting it, or are they normally saying, hey, normally it's Israel, but this time not? So all of this has some kind of context to play. And just that's why I have so many sources, because taking anybody at face value is just risky and ignorant, I guess. So yeah, let's see what this dude has to say. So let's see him with this, of course, with his eyes. That he's obviously is his team, basically.
For the future, because the developments include certain things that relate to the prospect of what they call a Palestinian state that is quite far from what is being portrayed in the media. Now, Donald Trump officially pushed for this move and had somewhat of an endorsement to the Hamas response that took place when Donald Trump published their response on his social media, despite the fact that he previously criticized them and still does very heavily. Someone didn't really like that. It was none other than Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump called Netanyahu, and Netanyahu responded to that positivity that Donald Trump came with. Trump was hoping to get like a celebration almost from Netanyahu. But Netanyahu told him there's nothing to.
Yeah, that's a big leap, right? Getting a thank you or yay, like anything. He's very happily, even let's say, very rarely is he content, about something. Oh yeah, that's good. No, everything is always not good enough. We're not bombing enough. We're not pushing enough. We're not striking enough. Yeah, it's anything that happens on the negotiating table for Netanyahu is always a loss. We lost, even though they obviously like won the business deal, let's say, or whatever. Uh, or some excuse to get out, some excuse to break the deal or whatever. It's I'm actually surprised that Trump is surprised. But dude, you're always so fucking negative. It's hilarious.
celebrate here. There is no progress. Then, reportedly, Donald Trump told him, "You're always so effing negative," according to this report here in Axios. Now, although they're on the same path in so many cases, clearly there are certain differences here, especially with the sensitivity of Benjamin Netanyahu to portray anything coming from the
Happens if I do
Palestinian side
this.
as hopeful by any means. Netanyahu was hoping to flip the table against the Palestinian side, isolate the Palestinian side, all of a sudden have Israel being embraced again by international countries, showing Israel as if it's the actual side looking for peace and that the Palestinians are the obstacle in that case. And what Donald Trump did clearly did not help. He published the same confirmation that came from the Palestinian resistance, viewing the efforts as positive, confirming that they are willing to release the prisoners of war in the right conditions, but also in effect denying by simply not addressing other elements of the Trump proposal that was heavily amended by Benjamin Netanyahu and his delegation that included Ron Dermer at the time, after Donald Trump met with the Arab and Muslim delegation. The talks are intense, but the time frame that Donald Trump is looking to accomplish it in, to execute the deal, are very unlikely to happen.
These guys, if you don't know them, they're pretty cool. Crystal and Sagar. Um, I mean, I guess how they started is one of them is a conservative and the other one is a liberal. But now I guess they basically agree on almost everything. I mean, I think this two party situation, this thing is almost like erased. Now we have um, on one side people that want basically big government to succeed, to have even more power, to do even more censorship, to support even more wars, and you have the side of people that want more freedom of speech, personal liberties, and less wars and more uh, negotiations, more talking, less bombing, and yeah, I think that those are the two sides. I don't know which one you can call left or right, but it seems like red and blue and all of these political parties are kind of dissolving with time, and like nobody, like if people ask me, I would say I'm a libertarian, But what does that mean? That just means like personal liberties. You can own your property and live your life in peace. Nobody should bother you. And if there's taxes to pay, you know, to keep the street clean, or for the sewage system, firemen, police, and all this stuff, then I'm glad to pay it. It's fine. And of course, it's just the basic. It's not difficult. Just okay, you're having police problems. They're being too violent or racist or whatever. Then train them properly, man. Like fighting over this. This is what I disagree with this police defund the police thing. It's like, man, you're fighting about this, about all the violence they are doing, and how do you get them back. But go to the source. Why are they doing this violence? They are not being properly trained. Some of them are like fat and stuff. Dude, just make a police officer fucking like a 3-year thing where you have to study, you have to know history, and you have to like have knowledge about shit, whatever it is, involves psychology and how to act when people are in this state of mind. And of course, like all of these negotiations and all of this shit, they should be like a negotiation person, a spy or whatever, when it comes to kidnappings, or hey, negotiating with this kind of people. They should know all of this already by default. They should also be trained in kickboxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, all of these kind of and like in the military, they should be able to keep fit. If you gain weight or something, you are suspended until you can get back in line. And it's not hard. It's just then you put the discrimination. Oh, but how about the trans, lesbian, fat, handicapped people that want to be a police officer? Well, I'm sorry, I would love to be an NBA player, but I'm not 6'6" or 6'7", or like it is what it is, man. We do something else. And this is the thing that I don't understand. We are supporting this chaos and this violence on the street just so we can avoid hurting a few people's feelings. And for me, the math doesn't just add up, so yeah, that's it regarding this police situation. And it's not difficult to have just train them. Oh my god, Greta Thunberg drag tortured. Yeah, I don't think she was tortured. Chill out. Come on. So Van Jones says dead gas on babies. Dems weak. Republicans also weak, probably. Yeah, nothing interesting here. Let's keep
About the vision for the future, because the developments include certain things that relate to the prospect of what they call a Palestinian state that is quite far from what is being portrayed in
man.
the media.
If you don't
Now,
please check the Tim Dillon show if you have. It's so fucking good. Just once a week, and you cannot miss it. Huh. So yeah, this guy's been all over. Scott Ritter has been all over. Alarming domestic terrorist memo. Let's see what's up. 20 minutes. Greenwall is also cool. I'm not subscribed.
All right, so we've been doing these Friday night shows for, I think, 3 months now, and I used to have to explain at the beginning what exactly it is because it was a new sort of format. And then after a while, I realized it was getting repetitive. Like, why do I need to keep explaining? It's a very simple concept, like question and answer. We get questions from our local members. We then answer, and then I started determining, you know what, I'm not going to keep giving prefaces to each show because you already know what they are. Then I started realizing, like, I was explaining that I'm not going to give prefaces to each show, and in the process, would end up actually giving a preface. So I'm dispensing with all of this, and I'm going to dive right into the first question. No more time wasting. And this is from KCM71. And the question is, what is your view on the NSPM? According to someone named Ken Klippenstein, the Democrat, I'm sorry, I put that in there. It actually says, according to Ken Klippenstein, the Democratic leadership has said little, as has the mainstream media. In reading the document, it certainly appears to be something that should concern not just the left, but anyone who believes in a liberal democracy? Now, I think it's a really important question. I'm glad that this topic has been raised. Ken has done a great job of highlighting it and kind of banging the table with his silverware as he learned to do as a child and continues to do effectively as an adult. And before we get into that, I just want to allude to a scene from the 1977 film Annie Hall, which I'm far too young to have seen when it came out. I wasn't even alive when it came out, but I did go back and watch it. It's a great film. It's a very well-regarded film, and there's a scene in there that is very relevant to what we're about to do. So let me just show you the scene. The essential setup is that the character played by Woody Allen and Diane Keaton are waiting in a movie line, and there's somebody in front of them who's pontificating in a very pompous way on the theories of Marshall McLuhan, and it kind of starts driving the character played by Woody Allen crazy, and then this is what happens.
The influence of television. Yeah, now, Marshall McLuhan deals with it in terms of it being a high intensity, you understand, a hot medium.
What I wouldn't give for a large sock with horse manure in it.
Which he uses essentially
What do
linear.
you do when you get stuck on a movie line with a guy like this behind you?
Wait a minute, why can't I
It's
give
just
my
maddening.
opinion? It's a free country.
He can give you. You have to give it so loud. I mean, aren't you ashamed to pontificate like that? And the funny part of it is, Marshall McLuhan, you don't know anything about Marshall McLuhan's work.
Really? I happen to teach a class at Columbia called TV, Media, and Culture. So I think that my insights into Mr. McLuhan, well, have a great deal of validity.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, that's funny because I happen to have Mr. McLuhan right here. So yeah, just let me come over here a second.
Oh, I heard what you were saying. You know nothing of my work. You mean my whole fallacy is wrong. How you ever got to teach a course in anything is totally amazing.
Boy, if life were only like this.
You know, life actually can be like this, and tonight it is, because the first question, we had several questions actually about Glenn Klippenstein's very kind of relentless banging on the table about this executive order that does seem to be very disturbing. And it just so happens that I have with me tonight as I wouldn't say special guest, like moderately special guest, the independent journalist Ken Klippenstein. Ken, hello. I admitted already we're not live, so I will say good evening just because it's a Friday night show, but really good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, good to be back. Thank you for letting me bang on your table as well.
Yeah, absolutely. My table is always here for your banging. Now, let me ask you, before we get into this, actually, I just wanted to note, because this is something of which I was previously unaware, I don't know how it escaped me, that you actually have a theme song for your work that was created by others, and I don't know, it's been pinned to the top of your Twitter page for so long, and yet somehow it eluded me, so I assume it did others. So just kind of an introduction is some mood music. I want to play a little bit of Ken Klippenstein's theme music.
This fucking leaked NYPD memo that Merrill mentioned briefly.
Yes, according to journalist Ken Klippenstein, he obtained a report
Hold on.
Ken Klippenstein. That's an ill rap name.
Hold on.
Yo, Big K Clip.
Yo.
Pow, K Clip, nigga, what's up?
Yo.
That's a fire name.
Ran up on him in the street. Couldn't reach his clip in time. I had to leak it to the press. Like my name was Klippenstein.
All right, there it is. I think it's impossible to bring you out. I did want you to know, however, that you're not the only investigative journalist with your own theme music. I, too, have had theme music created about me. I'm just a little bit more humble and not quite as self-promoting, so I don't have it pinned to the top of my Twitter page. But this was made by a Brazilian musician back in 2020. I just want to play a little bit of it.
Oh, this guy's funny, man.
We
I
don't
like
have it here yet. I thought we did, but as I said, I'm not quite as self-promoting.
I like it
I'm
when
gonna play it for you before you leave, just so you know that you're
and
not
they
the
make the
only
news
one who has theme
entertaining.
music.
That's something you don't get in mainstream media.
What genre of music was it?
It's actually rock and roll. It's not rap. So you may think like you're a little cooler in that regard, but I mean this is hardcore rock, and it wasn't like extemporaneously done. It was like a prepared song as well, so a lot more work went into it than went into yours. But I like yours as well. Anyway, let's get into this document that I am so glad you have highlighted in the way you have, because it is incredibly disturbing. And, you know, it's interesting that kind of I remember during the War on Terror, when I first started doing journalism, and in large part because of that reason. Oftentimes there were so many different assaults at the same time on core civil liberties in ways that had been previously unthinkable, that even though I was working, all day, every day, which I really was, to try and keep up with and inform people about all the different assaults, there were just too many of them, and some just kind of slipped through the cracks, even though they deserved, you know, massive amounts of attention. I feel the same way with regard to what's happening with the Trump administration on so many different fronts. So before we get into this, a few of the aspects of it, just tell us about what this document is and why you're so concerned about it.
Yeah, so NSPM 7 stands for National Security Presidential Memorandum 7. The 7 refers to the fact that it's only the 7th of its kind. Something that's frustrated me has been, to the extent that media has paid any attention to this memorandum at all, it has misreported and mischaracterized it as an executive order, which it's not. And I think that's part of the reason that it's not getting attention, is that it's seen as one of, you know, Trump's over 200 executive orders. And when you look at the EOs, many of them are kind of, you know, day-to-day operations, maybe symbolic, not as significant as a presidential memorandum. In the case of presidential memoranda, they're often classified. NSPM 6 is, and this is kind of the point of one of these sorts of orders, is like a big picture strategic articulation to the entirety of federal government and the national security state. This is what we're going to be focused on for the next 3 years. And so what it tells the government to focus on is essentially counterterrorism as defined by a set of indicators that it includes. And I was alarmed by how broad these indicators are. The indicators that they list, because remember, when you're adopting a counterterrorism approach, one of the problematic aspects of that is that you need to preempt crime rather than ordinary crime fighting, where you have found a crime and then you collect evidence to try to make the case that this person committed that crime. In counterterrorism, you are engaging in pre-crime. And this is not unique to the Trump administration. This goes all the way back to at least 9/11 in terms of the government giving primacy to this approach to crime fighting. And so when you preempt things, well, how do you prosecute a crime that hasn't happened yet? Well, you've got to look at what are going to be portents or...
Okay, so this is shit. I thought it was about something completely different. I thought this was about a warning that, yeah, there was a terrorism threat, domestic, like inside the US. But it turns out it's about the government, yeah, basically what he's saying, trying to create pre-crime, I guess, combining it with Palantir. Okay, this took a spin. Let's keep watching a little bit longer. Let's see what's up. But yeah, we might not even finish it. I thought it was about something else.
Predictors of what's going to happen, and that's where these indicators come in. And so they list like a dozen indicators, just to give you several examples. One was anti-Christianity, another one was anti-traditional family values, another one was I think it was like anti-government. It's like, this has got to describe millions of people.
Anti-Americanism, like extremism on gender views, like basically the whole panoply of ideological opinions the Trump administration regards as most anathema to its agenda.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, when it comes to some of them, like extremism on immigration, well, that sounds pretty qualitative. Like, I could talk to two different people who would probably point at each other and say, oh, that guy's an extremist on immigration. So it's like, even just internally, I don't understand how they're going to. So the reason this matters is that these priorities are being expressed to federal law enforcement agencies, from the FBI to Federal Protective Service. I mean, everything you can imagine. And this basically establishes, take say the FBI, in the different field offices that exist in every state in the country. This is telling them, you're going to get promoted, you're going to get resources if you can make cases along these, along this priority set. And so not only does this go to the FBI, but there's an already existing, since 9/11, massive system of what's called joint terrorism task forces. This number is like, I think, over 4,000 people. This is FBI agents, but also local law enforcement that have been deputized into this system. And so the Trump administration can task, or the federal government generally can task these JTTFs to go places and do things that the federal, that the National Guard that's been deployed cannot. Because of posse comitatus, they are restricted in engaging in domestic law enforcement on U.S. soil. And I think a lot of the press reporting, I've said this, has been sort of sensational and overstated about the Guard deployments. That's not to say that You can't question them and that there aren't things worthy of criticism, but they're really limited.
Oh yeah, like Trump releasing the military, I don't know, the guard or the army into Portland, and he said Chicago soon. I forgot about that. That's also hot. And well, man, first of all, I just realized how ugly these letters are. Like this Tuesday, I have to, yeah. I need to work on it a little bit. Um, I was gonna say something. Uh, oh man, Max Blumenthal doesn't stop banging the drum on Israel being involved. Like Candace already is kind of taking a turn. We just saw Ian Carroll also taking a turn. They were the three big ones pushing this. This this was a conspiracy theory, or it has been so far. The fact that Israel is involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. So there's, for the moment, no proof, and now Ian is turning into, oh, maybe it's an inside job. TPUSA was involved. And Candace is, what is she doing? I think on the same path a little bit. I haven't seen her last video. But Max, man, 15 hours ago, he's still, the Zionist billionaires are involved or whatever. Interesting. A month in the ICU. Oh yeah, Jordan Peterson is supposed to be sick. I also read that somewhere. How the internet caused the collapse of Western elites. 45 minutes now, fuck that. Trump is colonizing Gaza. Yeah, but there's something about El Salvador here. Let's see what's up here. Judge Napolitano. Judging freedom. Never seen this show before. I heard this guy. I heard about this dude, Judge Napolitano. That rings a bell. I haven't.
Today is Monday, October 6th, 2025. Professor Jeffrey Sachs will be here with us in just a moment on this neo-colonial deal to give Gaza to Jared Kushner. But first this. My friends, if you care about your liberty and your right to control your own future, you need to hear about this. Show is tax Argentina transformation. Reserve your free ticket with special panels. That's Professor Sachs, welcome here, my dear friend. Of course, I was being a little hyperbolic in my introduction by arguing that this deal is to allow Jared Kushner to redevelop Gaza into the Trump Gaza. And at one point, the president did explain that. Let's take a step back. Why should Hamas negotiate with Israel and the United States? Israel attempted to kill these very Hamas negotiators in Doha, has killed.
Okay, so I guess we know where Judge Napolitano stands. It takes like a second to find out. Oh man, okay.
Hezbollah negotiators in Lebanon, and the president of the United States lured Iran into a false belief that they were engaged in serious negotiations right before Israel and the United States bombed. Who would trust Israel and the United States in a negotiation?
I don't know if anyone would actually trust Israel and the United States in a negotiation, but there is and has been for a long time a strong interest in peace with Hamas and a strong interest in peace far more generally with the Arab world. Actually, despite all of the propaganda we hear in the United States and especially in Israel, the Arabs put together a peace plan back in 2002, which they have reiterated for 23 years. And their peace plan is straightforward. It says that there will be normalized relations with Israel and security for Israel, together with a state of Palestine. That's it. everything that has happened since then, indeed, everything that has happened since 1996 when Benjamin Netanyahu became prime minister, and indeed everything that has happened since 1967, the Six-Day War, so-called, when Israel occupied all of the Palestinian territories, has been Israel trying to prevent a state of Palestine alongside the state of Israel. And because of that, there has been endless war. Now there is mass murder by...
Nothing new, nothing new. Trump slams Netanyahu, take the deal, stop be so fucking... Yeah, we read that. Guys, I think we're updated. This government shutdown situation, it's basically over. I think they're about to turn it back on. That's what I heard. Yeah, this... By the way, that's a very good interview. The Wikipedia Talker one. I watched that. I definitely recommend it. Very, very good interview. I don't know if I'm gonna check this one out, man. It's 3 hours 17. I mean, Ian is actually on top of this. He just went there personally. And I think this is why it's so long. He's sharing his own private footage and his own insights. And I am definitely interested in checking out the evidence he has on TPUSA being involved. But 3.5 hours, bro. Fuck. Maybe. I'll think about it. State of emergency in Austria. Government disempowered. Okay. For some reason. This is another Alexander. I don't know what this is about. Yeah, guys. Iran won't fall. Yeah, we know that Iran, that's one of the things we spoke about. Iran is being very aggressive. Yeah, Dave loses his cool. Bill Ackman exposed. This we know. Yeah, at the meeting that Bill Ackman organized where Kirk was on, it was kind of a speculation that he was very aggressive against Charlie, and that's one of the reasons why he kind of started feeling afraid for his life, and also because he was slowly defecting the supporting Israel narrative, which according to his letter, it doesn't back it up, even though the letter was written in May, and from May to September a lot of shit could have happened and changed very radically, as we can see in the public right now. People are just changing their minds in days. It takes, people are being red pilled in mass, and it's not taking any time at all. So I think there should be, this is one of the things that is not in the mainstream news, even in the independent media. Nobody's talking about this 5 months gap. Kind of like, yeah, things can change from 2nd of May. Like, because you got no answer. Actually, that letter and him not getting an answer, I don't know if Netanyahu gave him an answer or not. I don't know what happened after that. People don't talk about that either, about Netanyahu's response. Did he just ghost him? If it ghosted him, then of course that would make Charlie frustrated. Like, what the fuck, dude? Cannot even reply. Probably, I doubt that Netanyahu said, oh, Charlie, that's a great idea. Yes, let's implement that immediately. In that case, I think Charlie would be happy and even more supportive for the next 5 months until he died. But I can only assume that the reply to that letter was either a ghost or just, okay, we'll look into it, something like this. Or if it was a long answer, probably more in the negative side, more in the, dude, we do what you want, the Hasbara, just follow the Hasbara and that's it. and all of this would make Charlie, I guess, frustrated about the situation. This phone call where Netanyahu offered him $150 million. I heard it's also supposed to be only $2 million. I mean, the number 150 hasn't been confirmed, and that's one of the reasons that this girl, what's her name? Actually, I don't think I'm following her in this account. She is on with Anna Kasparian all the time. This Jillian Michaels. Let's add that girl. I have seen a couple. I had seen a couple of her pods, and yeah, I mean, she's sometimes has a nice panel or the conversation is interesting. Like it's worth paying attention sometimes. So yeah, there was a big deal about that. That Jill Michael said, "Where's the evidence about the 150 million? Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence?" And she wouldn't let Anna speak, and then she just stood up her own show and left. Fucking badass. Oh man, not badass that she left, like badass on Anna Kasparian that she just managed to get her to quit her own show. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's mean. I honestly didn't see it. I just saw the clips, so I just don't really want to give my opinion. I didn't care that much, to be honest. Because, like I said, I don't really think that Charlie Kirk was killed by Israel. So unless some new information develops, I basically have seen most of the little, you know, I know the details basically in general. It's about the bullet, about the rifle, about the video camera shutting off, and why don't we have the clip of the moment of the shooting, and is it possible that he was shot from behind, that this was an exit wound and an entry? All of this we kind of know, but there's no new evidence, so I don't know. We'll see. So far, the only thing that we know is that the government is lying. Like this letter that he sent to his transgender flurry, what is it called? Furry boyfriend or whatever. Man, nobody believes that shit, obviously. So this is something that we know. The government is lying. The FBI is lying, and they are not being truthful. Either for just incompetence because they're too ashamed to say I don't know, and it's better just to have something than nothing. Could be for like on purpose, for malicious reasons, like either to distract or to just hide from the real culprits, which might be themselves, might be the FBI themselves who had a part in it. There's so many people that, like, if they discover that one or two is part of the FBI, they've kind of fucked because the FBI did it. So, oh man, Cash. Yeah, he's doing. Man, it's very hard to judge him, but he's doing as best as he can. But the Epstein list is everything except that. That was shameful. The rest, I guess, he's doing the best that he can. He can to keep the promises he made. All right, so let's leave it like this so far until today, and we will catch up tomorrow for more news. Thanks again, gringos, gringas, beaners, and beanerettes. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.